Governance, the Senate on Wednesday approved the 1.485 trillion naira 2025 budget for Rivers State. The development followed President Bola Tinubu's submission of the appropriation bill to the National Assembly after the suspension of the state's House of Assembly. The Senate's approval came after the third reading of the budget bill and consideration of the report by its ad hoc committee on Rivers State during the Committee of Supply session. The budget now awaits assent and implementation pending executive formalities. Also, the Senate was momentarily divided on Wednesday as it deliberated over the appointment of the chairman of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, Michael O'Day. Trouble started after Senator Abdul Ningi raised concerns about the propriety or otherwise to appoint a non-indigene into the position to oversee the affairs of the state electoral body. Ningi's observation was quickly supported by Senator Alin Dume, who warned against undermining the constitution. His argument was overruled after the chairman of the Senate Ad Hoc Committee, Okweyemi Bamidele, defended his committee action which recommended the appointment of Michael O'Day.
Mr. Chairman, why I'm making this, let it be on record that myself, Senator Abdul Ningi, objects and observe that if this thing becomes the norm, it is not going to do well going forward. Because I've been to Rivers State almost 40 years ago, and I know the quality of people in Rivers State. I do not see any logical reason why a Rivers man will not chair this electoral commission.
Let it be on record that I, Senator Mohammed Ali Ndume, I'm not against the appointment of whoever you recommended, but under the current circumstance and the fact that if today you want to interview 100 or even 1,000 qualified people for this position from Rivers, you will get it to choose from. Federal Character, Section 14.3 reflects that. And as he rightly said, we should not, as a Senate, just approve or think that what is being done is not against the Constitution.
This matter does not call for any form of grandstanding. It is a constitutional matter. For any and every appointment, Mr. President, made pursuant to this Constitution, two things always stand out as legal principles: eligibility criteria and disqualification. You may be eligible, but be disqualified. And the two are well spelled out in our Constitution.
Today, Mr. President, we are saying that if 6 people from Rivers can be members of the Electoral Committee, what stops the 7th person from coming from Rivers? But if in the wisdom of the extraordinary leader there, he picks somebody from outside Rivers, one, he's from Cross River, and you know that there were some eyebrows raised when he was appointed administrator. Now he has gone to pick a Cross River person again.
Leader is pure politics because he's coming from APC. In Abia, head of service from Edo, who is talking about that? So please ride on.
30 and going ahead to be able to get somebody that will head the state's resident electoral commission for a state of emergency and putting the sole administrator, that's an aberration in a democracy, just demonstrates what Fela sang in a song, calling demonstration of grace democracy. And it has gotten to the point that that's what we practice in this country. So they are both debating over a role and a position that is sole administrator, not democratically elected, serving in a democratic government, overarching democratic government, is going to appoint. This same Senate went ahead to pass 1.4 trillion budget. The democratically elected government put forward 800 billion, but because he had squabbles with his political godfather, and they pushed him through a state of emergency under the guise of security threats, which, when we look at it, we're still asking for the empirical fact that led to security threat in the first place. And everybody supports this aberration because it suits them. You know what happens when a country starts to go on this path? In no time, you'll see a lot of chaos because people will be disgruntled. And in no time, it will make mockery of the institutions. And you see, when a democracy starts to falter, the first bellwether you will see are the institutions. There's going to be an all-time lack of trust in those institutions. Today, if I put a poll forward and say, Nigerians, please vote, do you trust the institutions in Nigeria, democratic institutions? The result will be overwhelming. And maybe for good measure, we can put up a scientific poll. And when the trust is eroded in your institutions, people don't believe the institutions, then there's a big problem. Dr. Abati enunciated one of that tenets yesterday when he talked about the Senate being a rubber stamp. When we're talking as regards the budget, extending the tenure of the budget and running concurrent budget cycles. This is another indication. The Senate went ahead, did not even take empirical lettered votes. They took voice votes over a matter of national emergency, like a declaration of state of emergency. Isn't it indicative why a lot of Nigerians have lack of confidence in the Senate as a whole? So we are not surprised all of this is happening. And you see, it's only but for a matter of time. Once the institutions suffer lack of trust, the people stop trusting the institutions, then the decay goes further. Then hegemons start to take over. So it's now always a government of the strongest, the biggest, the man that can circumvent you already. He's had to destroy the institutions. And that's what Nigeria has become today. And when that happens, it's no longer a democracy. It becomes a government of kleptocrats. It becomes the government of what I call bullycracy, government of the bullies. And that's what happens. So it will be on record that we said it while it's happening in the Nigerian case. And for those that support the perpetration of this evil, it will be on record that we said it, because it will come back to haunt all of us. The president signing those tax bills into law, like I said, that bill is a living document, but I'm happy. And even if I criticize it, I will commend them as regards that tax bill, because we did bring forward a lot of scrutiny when it comes to that tax bill, and we looked at it. But there are still many things we'll need to look at because it's a living document. I yield the floor because of time.
Okay, where do I start from? Let me start with Rivers. The big argument here is that budget has been approved, 1.4 trillion for the government, the sole administratorship of Ibok Ite Ibas, who is from Cross River State, and that to oversee the proposed local government elections in River State, you have someone from Cross River State, where Ibok Ite Ibas also hails from. So at the heart of the argument is about indigenship and qualification. Now, let us say that indigenship settler politics has always been a problem in this country. However, the Nigerian Constitution recognizes the fact that you can live anywhere in the country. You can be part of any part of the country. Now, one of the persons on the floor of the Senate was quoting federal character. But there is nowhere in the enabling laws, either in the Constitution or in the Electoral Act 2022, which is the operative law, where it is stated that the chairperson of a River State or a state independent electoral commission must come from that particular state.